Don't just live for tomorrow, or just live in yesterday. Just be glad for all you have that's in today. And though you've come through many obstacles.
Hey everyone, Connie here, and welcome to my blind reaction to The Ghost and Molly McGee. Let me just make sure on the episode title. This should be episode 12? 12, I think? 12 or 13? 13. And the reason I'm saying that, the reason I wasn't quite sure is because I wasn't able to download this week. Normally, the episode comes out on Saturday night or Sunday morning or something like that. Or I think it actually comes out on Saturday morning, but it's put up on the site I use around late Saturday night, early Sunday morning. It hasn't been put up yet. And I'm recording this on Tuesday. I've been waiting for it to be put up, and it just hasn't been put up, and I don't know why. And no other site that I'm finding that has the series on it has put it up either. In fact, most of those other sites haven't even put up the last episode. So, yeah. I almost didn't know what to do, but I kind of have this backup I found, which is unable to download from. So I can't download from it. I have to record it from the browser, basically. But it's this website actually created for showcasing this series. For those in the MLP fandom, you might have heard of Yay Ponies, which is a website that puts up all the episodes and specials and stuff for My Little Pony: Friendship is Magic. This is that same kind of thing. It's called aspectralmcgee.net. And a spectral is E and then spectral. It's not A, so just to let you know if you want to look it up. Aspectralmcgee.net. It's in Spanish, but you can navigate it pretty easily. And you are able to translate it with your browser and stuff for what you need to. Plus, you can watch the episode in English or in Spanish, either way. This is kind of my last resort since I found this site. If for whatever reason the episode does not go up on the website I normally use to download it, by Tuesday, by the day I need to have this put up, this is kind of my last resort to make sure that I can get to the reaction. And so that happened this week. Unfortunately, this does also very boldly exclaim the titles. Now, you can usually just ignore that and focus on the episode count number itself and just ignore what it actually says. Which I'm trying very hard to do. But I did see a bit of the titles. I'm not going to go into thoughts on everything on them because I've been actively avoiding trying to think too much about them. But yeah, I'm just letting you know that I did end up seeing them. Also, this website lists the episodes as their mini-sode count. So this is listed as 25 and 26, even though it's episode 13. And also, you have to have two separate tabs open. So there's that as well, which means we're going to have to switch tabs halfway through. An entire another issue. It's annoying. It's annoying, everything, all these hoops that we kind of have to jump through to use it on here. If we were just watching it, that would be one thing. But we have to jump through all these hoops just to be able to record this. All because the normal site I use, for some strange fucking reason, hasn't put the episode up. And I could not tell you why. Because I know the episode is out, so I don't know why it wouldn't be put up. It's just, I don't know if there's a mega link for this series like there is for Owl House, but it's like at this point, that would be honestly better, because at least with Mega you can download it. With this, I don't know like what kind of player they're using or whatnot, but it does not allow you to download. So we're just gonna kind of have to make this work. Hopefully this doesn't happen every week from here on out. Hopefully next week we can go back to normal, and it's just the episode is actually put up on the site I download from. Or maybe we'll find some other option if necessary. But this is, like I said, kind of a last resort if we need it. So I'm just saying right off the bat, it is going to be annoying to have to switch between them in the reaction. But hopefully it goes quick. But we'll handle that when we get to that. So, yeah. Last time we got some development in depth with Andrea, and I'm very excited to see what more goes on in regards to that. Because this is only the first little hint. I compared it to Gravity Falls in Pacifica Northwest when she had her first little hint at redemption with the mini golf episode. There's still more work to do before a full redemption can come into play. But again, unlike with Pacifica, Andrea is not openly and actively antagonistic. Like, even the episodes like the one where they're making the horror movie, she was not actively antagonistic against them. In fact, she was offering to help them. She was just being a spoiled brat. Like, she wasn't trying to be mean to them necessarily. So she definitely has a very different dynamic than other characters like her have. Early Amity was definitely more openly antagonistic, Pacifica, etc., etc. But she's not, so it's a very different dynamic, and I like that. It definitely takes things in a different way in regards to her character. But yeah, I'm excited to see where this goes. I wonder if we're going to get like major story at any point. Oh, excuse me. By the end of the season, I assume so, but I don't know for sure, obviously. Because we haven't really gotten anything major story-wise. Like, there's been, like, tiny little hints at what it could eventually evolve into in regards to just showing the Ghost Council and all, but we haven't actually gotten anything with that. So we'll just kind of have to just find out as we go along. I'm hoping we actually get some notable story, but even as it is, it's still a wonderful show. Because, like, this series still continues to impress me, even with its episodic stuff. And you guys kind of know that it takes a lot for that to happen with me. Usually I prefer the serialized ongoing plots. So it takes really good quality to impress me with episodic shit. And this is definitely impressing me. So hopefully it continues to do so, and I definitely believe it will. So let's just get this going, hope for the best, and again, hope we don't have to do this with using this website every week, but we'll see. For now, when the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades to black, then fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts and will contain spoilers to the episode. So, that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you at the reaction. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. I really hope we don't have to do this ever again in terms of like using this website. It's like, it's a nice website. It's nice that it's there as an option. But it's like, oh my gosh, it was so annoying, like with the video like freezing at points randomly and having to switch between. I'm looking right now. I just checked the website I normally use, Kim Cartoon, and yeah, episode 13 is still not up on there. I don't know what the fuck is going on. So it's like I had to use it just to get it up on time. But it's like, I really wish I didn't have to. So episode 13 was pretty good. It was an interesting episode with some interesting developments added in. So the first one, the first half of 13A, it's Pete and Sharon's anniversary. And the cake that Pete makes every year for the anniversary ends up going missing. So Molly decides to hold a mock trial to try and figure out who could have done it. And she's doing this to try and prove Scratch's innocence, because Scratch, Molly McGee guaranteed her, which apparently is a thing, that he didn't do it. And the thing is, it's like you kind of instantly believe him, because it's like Scratch doesn't really hide the fact that he steals food. He's actually pretty open about it. So the fact that he's so insistent that it wasn't him is kind of believable. But we're seeing, we go through all of the different family members to try and figure it out, and we get to see all of their different stories. We find out that Sharon actually hates the cake that Pete makes every year. And it was actually the cake that they had on their first date, too. She hates it because apparently the carob in it pretends to be chocolate in her eyes. What exactly is carob? I'm not familiar with it. I think I spelled it wrong. Is that it? Okay, it looks like it's used as a sweet and healthy substitute for chocolate, from what I'm seeing. It's a legume, and it can be processed to kind of create a chocolate-like flavor and powder and stuff. So it's basically fake chocolate. It's a healthier alternative fake chocolate. So Sharon apparently doesn't like it, but it's in this recipe that Pete uses every year. And so we see that she has motivation. And she even apparently almost threw the cake away, citing that in this kind of like Smeagol Gollum talking to herself moment, which was really funny actually. She was trying to convince herself of like, oh, I hate it, it's bad, it tastes gross, but Pete made it for me, and that's sweet and everything, and she doesn't end up throwing it away. We hear Daryl's side of the story, and apparently Daryl has a lawyer. Like, what? I get the joke, I understand the joke, but the fact that she's actually there, like there's actually a lawyer there, is like, I have a lot of questions. But he basically explains that because his handprints are on the covering for the cake, he explains that he just grabbed the covering to use to try and catch his pet tarantula, which apparently he just suddenly has, and Molly is freaked out by. Fair. And while he was doing so, he ended up seeing Pete in the backyard flailing with a flaming apron. So at this point, we get Pete's side of the story, because the flaming apron kind of points out something noticeable here. And we find out that he burned the cake originally because he lost the old recipe. He had to use a different recipe, which was on a British site, and he had to, you know, measurement conversions and had trouble with that. So he burnt the cake originally, but he had enough extra batter to make a second one, and that one went really well. But apparently on the casing there was also, as we saw, some ectoplasm. So the blame goes back to Scratch. At this point, even Molly starts losing her faith that he's innocent. And it's at this point that I started to realize what was probably going on here. And it's like, it came completely out of nowhere. But the ectoplasm and the fact that, again, I did believe Scratch based on the fact that, again, he was so insistent on it. It had to be Jeff. It's when with the ectoplasm being the core clue there, it's like it had to be Jeff. So we're seeing as like everyone starts to doubt him again until Molly realizes, it's like, wait, you said carob. And then she proves that it couldn't be Scratch because Scratch has a carob allergy. So yeah, that's definitely pretty hardcore proof that it couldn't have been him. And then at the very end, we do find out it was Jeff, who, for some strange fucking reason, thought the cake was for him. And I don't know why, but okay. The reveal is weak, admittedly. Because, again, even though I figured it out once the ectoplasm thing came in, it's like, it still came out of nowhere otherwise. It's like Jeff had no role in this episode whatsoever, so for him to come in at the very end and be revealed as the one who actually ate the cake, it just comes out of nowhere. It's just random. But the rest of this half of the episode, the rest of this mini-sode saved it for sure. Because the rest of this, the actual mock trial and stuff, was really fun. There was a lot of great humor and a lot of great expressions. It built on some of the characters, such as Sharon, pretty well. It was just really fucking enjoyable and funny, so it definitely saved it from being too bad. But the ending was still very random and out of nowhere. And then we have 13B. So, in order to celebrate Pete's birthday, his siblings, who are twins, come over to hang out, to see the house, to spend time with the family. And we find out pretty quickly that the siblings, that the twins, Jilly and Billy, are very aggressive ribbers. Ribbing is something a lot of family members will do with each other, especially siblings. But just like with any situation like that, with any situation with ribbing, whether it's family or friends or whoever, some people just can't handle that stuff. And I've talked about this in something else recently. I don't remember what it was, but some people are just unable to handle that, and it's really bad for them, like for their mental health and all. So Pete is one of those people who cannot handle it, and he gets extremely depressed when this happens. So we see during this some sob goblins, which, by the way, I love the fucking name of those. That is really fucking funny. Sob goblins, you know, instead of like hobgoblins. They're these normally cutesy ghosts, tiny little things, who amplify sorrow. They take the sorrow that someone is already feeling and amplify it, making it feel much worse. And Scratch makes it very clear that they're very dangerous. And it's like, just from the fact of what they do, it's like it instantly, like, oh yeah, if this could lead into really strong, heavy, depressive episodes, you can kind of see where that could go. You can kind of see how these things could be extremely dangerous. Yeah, it's not great. it's a really dark concept for this series too. Like, yeah, the show's gone into some dark humor and stuff every now and again. The constant bird deaths alone is pretty dark. um but this is like, oh shit, it's implying the possibility of suicide being caused by these things, and that's like not okay. um but we see just them going around and ribbing on their brother, on Pete and everything, and messing with him a bit, all the while Molly and Scratch are trying to get rid of the Sobgoblins, kind of like an A plot and a B plot in a way. Though I guess the Molly and Scratch part is more of the A plot because it's honestly a little more focused on, which is a little disappointing. I kind of wish the other part would have been a little more focused on. But you know, main character status. The title characters have to have that focus. So yeah, Molly, in order to try and stop the Sobgoblins, or at least get them away from her father, tries to make herself really sad with this poster of a business cat trying to get through the work week, and she's so afraid it won't, and it makes her so sad. And it's like, it's really funny, but I really like the joke on how 9-to-5 jobs and stuff like that are really depressing and just soul crushing and everything. I just really think that joke is fucking amazing. But we see them trying to get it to work, but they're having trouble with it, and we see the true form of the Sobgoblins as these creepy little bastards. Molly and Scratch try to fight them away, but aren't really able to get rid of them completely, and they keep kind of multiplying. More keep coming, so that doesn't make it easy as well. And eventually Molly just kind of gives up. She kind of loses her hope. And so everyone goes off to the diner for some food. And at this point, Daryl, who is kind of like, you know, because he's a bit of a troublemaking dork himself, is kind of getting inspired a little bit by Billy and Jilly. So he starts picking on Molly in much the same way, even using the wet willy thing that he saw them use on his father. This obviously just makes Molly more depressed, and her mother's already really depressed over what's happening to Pete as well, and now over that, and it's just like, it's like really actually fucking sad. And it's like, oh, I'm not actually enjoying this. I mean, I'm enjoying it. It's good. It's well written and well handled, but I'm also just really sad about it all, which I guess it kind of goes along with the point. So we then see Pete notice how Daryl is now treating Molly in the same way that his siblings treat him, and this sets him off. He does not want his son to be the same as them. He does not want his son to follow in their footsteps and do this kind of stuff to Molly. It genuinely pisses him off, honestly. And he finally stands up for himself, no longer sad, more angry at this point. He stands up to them and tells them off for how they've been treating him and how this has affected his family. And then we get the big twist that kind of, just like with the last episode with something coming out of nowhere, this also kind of comes out of nowhere. We find out that Jilly and Billy are actually extremely jealous of Pete, of his life, of his job, his home, his family. They've always felt that he's always one-upped them, that he's always gotten all of this great stuff, and they've always been left out. And it's not really said, but kind of implied, that the reason they rib on him so much, the reason they pick on him like they do, is because they want to kind of feel that sense of control, of power almost. They want to feel good about themselves. And yes, there's a lot of bullies, whether familial or otherwise, who do this kind of stuff, who bully people for that kind of reason. Because they want to feel better about themselves and their situations, and they're jealous of these people that they will often bully. That's a very real thing. But I feel like it would have been better if there was more focus on that half or that part of the mini-sode rather than the plot with Molly and Scratch taking on the Sobgoblins. I wish if there was a little more with them, and maybe like there was some kind of even just a visual hint that there was something more to them before. That would have been good. That would have been fine. But because there was nothing, it does seem to kind of come out of nowhere, and it's just like, the problem is, in real life, not all bullies, especially family bullies, are like this. A lot of times, people just kind of suck. And there's really nothing you can do about that. Just talking to them or even confronting them doesn't always work either. So it's like, it was clear that these two didn't like hate Pete or anything. It was never antagonistic in that way. They were never doing this out of like some kind of like mean intent. But at the same time, it's like it's jeez, that scared me. I don't know why she just started barking. But it's like there's really nothing to hint at something like that. I just feel like it's a lot to suddenly just reveal right there. All in all, I would say with both 13A and 13B, it's not my favorite episode of this series, but I expect to get episodes that are a little lesser here and there. And even though it was not as good as other episodes, like last week's episode is a great example, or obviously episode 10, even though it wasn't as great as those episodes, it's still very good. It's still enjoyable. There's still a lot to love about it. It's just not quite on the same level. And that's okay. Like I said, sometimes it's okay to have that. Because it's like, yeah, you want every episode to be as great as possible, but unfortunately, it's most likely not going to happen. So, yeah, I expect some episodes to... excuse me. Some episodes to just not hit it as well. So I'm not, like, super upset or anything, but it was still good. It was still enjoyable. It was still fun. Tell me in the comments below, though, what you thought of this episode, episode 13 of The Ghost of Molly McGee. And hopefully we can find some other option for the reaction next week. Hopefully we just don't need to find another option and the normal link I download from works. If anyone does know about a mega link for all the episodes of the series, let me know. That would be helpful. Because the one I got for Owl House is extremely helpful, and it really just, if I need it, is really just right there and perfect. So anyway, like I said, tell me your thoughts down below, and thank you so much for tuning in. For now, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.